Welcome to episode 2 of Preparing to Bug Out. Last time around, we outlined the kind of general plan and what we hope to achieve. I'll pop a link up here, hopefully. So this episode, we're going to look at the scenario and the theory, obviously behind bugging out. We'll give consideration to some of the challenges presented to us when bugging out, and hopefully, through kind of talking through it, we'll come up with some solutions. I've prepared something for you. I did this at 3 a.m. The night before, so please just take a moment before you carry on and get into the kind of meat of this episode. Give us a like. If you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more, obviously give me a subscribe. But without further ado, we'll head on down to my laptop and pick it up from there. Alright then guys, right, brilliant. So you obviously hung on for this long, so let's get into it. Forgive me for doing this a bit like how I do at work, but I don't know a better way of doing it. If there are any suggestions, please let me know. Without further ado, I'll just crack on. I'll try and do this in one take, so it's as honest as it can be. Feel free to skip through. We'll kind of have sections, but I'll go into that now, and then you can choose kind of what you want to do. All right. So let me just move myself out of the way. Just to say, as a little caveat, this is in no way going to be a perfect exercise. So it is what in my work life, I'd consider a tabletop exercise. You might require some poetic license. So like I say, it isn't perfect. I did do it very early in the morning, but it was as true to how I might do it sort of professionally, if you will. And I'm not, saying I know everything. I am just doing it with the knowledge that I have got for some of the things I have done. I may very well miss some quite important things out. In which case, brilliant. If you are watching and you do notice that, look, give me a shout. Okay, so the layout. Let me get my cursor up. Hopefully you can see that. So we'll get the scenario. I've done the scenario for you. I kind of alluded to it last time. You're getting some injects, so something to help you kind of set your train of thought. I've added a section here called thoughts. So what I try to do, just to speed things up a bit, and obviously I haven't got lots of people around the table to discuss, just wanted to put down a flavour of how my mind's working, some of the things I'm thinking of. Maybe you're all thinking the same. Maybe I'm on the complete wrong end of the stick. I don't know. And it just repeats like that for a few slides. And hopefully we arrive where we want to arrive. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so the scenario. So it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 1st November 2018, and you've just woken up. So it happens. I'm in England for my foreign viewers. I live in England, and Brexit didn't happen. Oh no. So we're saying that civil unrest is inevitable. What's the plan? So that's the scenario. We know we're going to bug out, right? So there you go. So we kind of predetermined that plan. Maybe down the line we might do some bug-ins, or I don't know, we'll find something different to do. Or even we're out and about and this happens, or a scenario happens. But for this case, yeah, fine. We know we're going to bug out anyway, and we're going to move to a predetermined location away from any concentrations of public. Okay, sounds pretty reasonable to me. It's what I would do. So just to give you a feel, before I move into some of the concerns I've got at this section, I'm just going to switch over to Google Maps. I'm going to show you a real life example of an area I live not more than a mile away from where I'll show you, and a route, and it's the route we'll use when we do the live exercise after we've gone through this. Everyone likes a map, eh? I'm so glad I found screen recording. Alright, so I live not too far from the wonderful riverside resort of Gravesend in North Kent in England. We'll pick up from this Shell petrol station here. For those of you that know, it's next to the A2. Delightful spot. So the route takes us from this Shell garage through some not too busy country roads, but we have got across a major arterial road. The A2, for those that know it, heading there. Get my fingers right on the screen. Heading that way, goes into London, and heading that way, goes down to Dover. So the route is some 1,200 bit miles long. It takes us through some not too heavily populated areas, but it is only a contraflow road. So what do I mean by that? For those in the UK, it looks like that. It will do when it loads up. There you go, a contraflow road. All right, not the biggest road in the world, but big enough. So the route we're going to take is about, there you go, look, 10.4 miles long. It can be shortened, but I think it adds a bit of drama, a bit of that poetic license. So let's just say I don't know any different, and frankly I don't. Here I can get to this location without the need for a sat-nav, and I think that is vitally important. I don't have to think about it. I know exactly, sorry, hit my mic. I know exactly where I'm going, so I'm just taking a stress factor out of the equation from the get-go. It is to an area that's featured quite heavily on the channel in the past. Feel free to go through my back catalogue. I won't go into it. I'm not going to put any links up. Now, they're mostly contraflow roads, like I said, up to a point, and then when I get to about here, it turns into much more of a quiet road, shall we say, which turns into very much a rural road. Some single lane carriageway now. That then turns into a small road, you know, your quintessential English countryside little road, up to this place here, which is Holly Hill. Lovely spot, and there's a few reasons I've picked that, and perhaps I will go into those in later slides, but just to give you a flavour, Holly Hill is on the North Downs Way, and it has some advantages. So when you get to this point here, there is a small, I don't even know if you call it green lane. You can drive your vehicle through over here, and this is the Lost Village of Dode, which featured in one of my previous videos. Here is actually quite high up. It's definitely a massive vantage point, and you're on a ridge line. So this is a ridge line all around here, and then you're looking down through the valley into Kent. So it has some positives in the sense of, assuming you can even get there, it's heavily forested, quite tight forest, and it, yeah, like I say, it's a vantage point. So from an observation point of view, which is something we'll look at in a moment, it's a good place to be. Now, I was also thinking perhaps also it might not be too popular a place to go, because I'm sure unless you're local you don't even know it bloody exists, and it's not exactly near anywhere that you'd necessarily want to be, if that makes any sense. So yeah, feel free to ask away, ask any questions. Right, let me get back into it. So now we know where I'm going. It's predetermined location and it's away from public. Great. Okay, so things to think about. Weather. Yeah, absolutely. At this time of year, you've got this funny kind of weather where it's cool, but it's not cold. At night, certainly cold. During the day, somewhere between 17 and 20 degrees Celsius. It can be raining, it can be sunny, it can be windy. You just don't know. On that day, you could not guarantee. Now, come 1st of November, in all likelihood, the temperature will certainly be sitting regularly below 15 degrees C, and you kind of almost have to assume it's going to be poor weather. After all, we are in the UK. Light levels. Okay, something for me, and I think something I really briefly alluded to on the last video, it's going to be dark, especially early in the morning and earlier in the evening. All right, something I was thinking about, 5 a.m. Now, we're going to make this assumption. I've just woken up by chance, but perhaps if we're planning for this, we know the scenario is Brexit, we know it's coming. Would I have done better to wake up at 4 o'clock? Is 5 o'clock still early enough to get the jump on people, to get out, get away? What are we going to take with us? What am I going to take with me? I've got what I've got in the house. When I do the exercise, I'm going to keep it true to form. I'm not going to go get anything new. If I haven't got it, I haven't got it. End of story. I'm not going to pre-prepare for it. And had that been today, as a really good example, almost no food in the house, because that's what we had to do, go shopping. Certainly no excessive amounts of water supplies or anything like that. So yeah, okay, very real consideration. And am I going to take sleeping kit? Am I just going to go for the day? Am I going to go for a week? How am I going to get there? Now you saw we're going to pick this up from a Shell petrol station. I could get there on foot quite comfortably, quite easily. But I have to walk through a suburban area, but yeah, I can do it. But if I'm going to use a vehicle, I have to cross underneath that large road. Now, that large road obviously leads into the town where I live, and it also leads into London. That could have some issues, and it's a road that is known and prone for traffic jams at the best of times. So, is a vehicle going to be useful? Early morning, vehicles moving around, weekday, not uncommon. A lot of people won't be looking at a video like this and thinking like you and I. So, perhaps a vehicle won't be too suspicious. The only time you're going to get some issues is when you get into some of those quieter roads. No kind of street lighting. You're going to stand out. After all, you need to see where you're going, so you need your lights on, all your gears in the vehicle, so you're not keen to leave the vehicle behind and carry on foot. Yeah. So I don't know. The jury's still out for me on that one. And what route are we going to take? So I assumed in this scenario that we are going to drive the vehicle. And I gave you a rough idea of that route. Now I could take a slightly more rural route, but arguably the vehicle would be more noticeable, or people might notice, my vehicle going up a certain road, a certain track. Now later on, that could prove quite important. Now, like I said in the previous video, I don't have any military or sort of forces or services background, so I'm just going on what I see in the press, what I see on YouTube, what I read, whatever, and I believe that if things got too bad, you are going to stand out, and people are certainly going to have an awareness of where you've gone, perhaps more heightened awareness than they normally would have. So there we go. So what route are you going to take? Yeah, are you going to go on foot? Are you going to go on the road? Okay. Concerns, right? Definitely for me, have to bear in mind it is peacetime, and it could very well be peacetime right the way through this scenario. So there's still that reality you could get arrested, and if you get arrested and you end up in a cell, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly wouldn't want to be in a cell. I've got no kit, no nothing, and if the brown stuff really does hit a fan, you are basically in the worst place you could be, as far as I'm concerned. Even during the exercise, I've put muggins on there. I'm being a little bit flippant, but it's a real possibility. Maybe a lot of people, it's normal life after all. Yeah, so there's some real personal safety concerns that have got to go into this. Suspicion, this is what I was saying about with the vehicle, but also think about it. You're walking around, got the old bug out bag on. Great, yeah, big camo bag hanging off my back, loads of gear on it. Perhaps I might be wearing some camouflage, thinking, it's going to be good when I'm in the forest. Yeah, not so good when I'm in the bit where I leave the car and I get to where I want to go. If you're spotted at any point, people are not used to seeing camouflage. And that kind of sounds a bit silly, but in a funny sort of way, it's going to make you more obvious until you're kind of, in the forest or wherever you want to be. And it will, the reason for wearing it takes effect. And of course, how long will I be away from home? I don't know. If I'm honest, if this was real, I'd probably go overnight and then do some recon, find out what was happening. But we'll go into that in a moment. All right, okay, so the scenario continues. So I'm watching the morning news while I'm laying in bed. I've just woken up, and it confirms that civil unrest has already broken out around the country, and in city centres. expected to worsen as the day progresses. And yep, you've decided bugging out is definitely what you will be doing. I appreciate I keep repeating that, but it's a strong point to this whole video. Now I put this piece in because not so long ago we had the London riots, and working as I did at the point, doing some disaster recovery and crisis management for a large company I worked for at the time. It's kind of how the London riot thing seemed to evolve. Not that it stopped us going to work and all the rest of it, because I did. But yeah, now I've got that experience already. So that kind of idea that you are getting some civil disturbances, it's not too far from the truth, I don't think. Okay. So something to think about. How long is it going to take me to get my destination? So we're going to say it's already 5:15 because I've been laying in bed because I'm a lazy bum and I've been watching the news. Right, what's it going to take me? Half an hour to get where I need to go. Right, so now I've got to think, even if I got out of bed, got in the car and went, that's 5:45, let's just say. Then I've got to think about, right, okay, I need to get ready. I'm not just going to jump out and go. I need a bit of time to get some things together. So, gosh, do I just need half an hour? Do I need an hour? Don't know. I kind of need to think about this. And I thought quite pertinent. I just thought of this not too long ago, and I kind of went back and added it in. Fine, I'm going to go, but also I'm going to be leaving a property behind. If it does already goes upside down and the world just implodes, am I leaving my property vulnerable? Is someone going to notice my car's gone and think, great, a neighbour perhaps that might not have been a threat and not a threat to anyone, normally suddenly thinks, great, I know they're not in, I'm going to go and have a little raid. Concerns. Right, what supplies have I got to hand? Like I said, had that been this morning, yeah, I would have been pretty screwed. How do I make decision on what and how much to take? That, I think, is something I've got to have in my head written down beforehand, and it's something we will do. That's a discussion point, and it's almost a bit like your desert island kind of. I was going to say desert island discs then. You're trapped on desert island and you can only take 3 items from the list type scenario. We know we're going to use the vehicle, great, so we've got some room. So within that kind of confines of that, what am I going to take and how much of it? How do I pack it as quickly as possible? Now, I have a small family. I'm not just going to have all this gear all in tubs ready to go, just chuck it in the car and off I pop. I'm going to have to go around collecting this stuff up, getting it ready, pack it, chuck it in the vehicle. How do I pack it as quickly as possible? Yeah. Time is going to be of the essence, and I consider that in a moment. Do I tell anyone what I'm doing? Oh, the $1 million question. Do you tell anyone if you've won the lottery? Do I tell anyone what I'm doing? Pros and cons, eh? Maybe might tell a trusted family member. Okay, yeah. Would I tell any friends? So there's some tough moral questions there. After all, you're putting yourself in a situation well out of the norm. Let's face it, it might even be that people are expecting you at work that morning, and you thought, I've been through this before. Like I say with the London riots, let's just say it's a bigger problem. I'm thinking, yeah, sod work, I'm out of here. Yeah, do I tell anyone what I'm doing? That's a decision I think you'd have to make on a personal level, and very much moral. So, let's continue. It's now 6 a.m. It's still dark, but we know daybreak is going to be around about 7. Oh, things have definitely escalated. So, the mobile networks have been taken down. And sorry to keep going back to it, but those that experienced the London riots will know exactly what that was like. The last thing you saw on the news is the authorities might also consider enforcing curfews. I put that in on purpose, not because I've had any experience of that, but because of some of the things that were being said, like I say, forgive me, I'm going to refer to the London riots just because it's a similar sort of scenario. But it's the sort of things that were going around at the time that actually did, kind of give you a bit of fear factor. And I'll put it there. So yeah, let's just say, right, so time is fast disappearing. You leave now, whether you're ready or not. So as far as I'm concerned, 6 o'clock, that's it. That's my cut-off time. I'm done. I'm ready. I've got an hour now till daylight. So if it ain't in the car, it ain't packed, it ain't coming, go. Now I'm gonna go with that mindset. I'm taking that little stress factor out. It's not, oh, I'll just get that last little thing. Oh, I need another 10 minutes. Nah, no. If I haven't got it, I haven't got it. Tough luck. Off I go. Fear is setting in. Yeah, I think that's real. It's great, I can be an armchair warrior right now. I know from having experienced a couple of different scenarios. I haven't had training for this sort of thing. Does fear set in? Yeah, of course it does. You're going into the unknown. You're doing something abnormal now. So there's some trains of thought here that might not necessarily be rational. So now we know mobile communication networks have been taken down. Will I make any attempts to contact anyone, to communicate with anyone? How do I even do that? Right, my mobile phone goes. Put it this way, I haven't got a ham radio. I haven't got digital walkie-talkies. I wouldn't even know anyone that has got one. In that regard, I'm very much isolated. Okay, there's something to think about. How would I then? Right, okay, so we're choosing to go. We're getting away. I'm now thinking, gosh, I've got no TV, no internet. How am I going to stay updated? But I'm in the vehicle. I hear you scream. I have a radio. Yeah, absolutely. Now, what I don't know, and someone might be able to tell me, DAB radios, are they still going to work? I think my vehicle can switch to FM. It's certainly not AM. It hasn't got AM in it, but it has got FM. Yeah. How we stay calm and logical? The $1 million question for me, it's about taking things out of the equation. If I haven't got to think about it, that lowers the stress level a little bit. So, like I say, we'll make some lists of things I've got to take. Have a plan in my head how long it's going to take to get to my bug out location. Know what's already in the house, what supplies I've got. Just kind of have an awareness of that, and don't be like I was today and being quite blasé until you and the wife are talking and you realise that you've eaten the last of the digestives and there's nothing left in the house. Right, be prepared. For those of you that are Cub Scouts, if I use my vehicle, do I have fuel? Now, I'll be honest, I've left the car pretty much on empty on more than one occasion. Am I going to risk a fuel stop? Now, I know we're starting this scenario from a fuel station, but that's purely just to preserve my sort of personal home address. Yeah, in reality, yeah, if I'm not prepared for that. Now, arguably, I know this event's coming, so a little while before, am I going to be prepared? Yeah, probably, yeah. Is a fuel stop even an option after all? Maybe at that point, Wells just carried on as normal. You could just go and fill up, whatever, wouldn't make any odds. Same again for food and drink. It's not like I can just go hunting. I don't own a crossbow or a shotgun, and I'm not going to go and get some rabbits or forage for things. I don't have that knowledge, and that's genuine. I might be able to go and pick some blackberries, but that'd be about it. So yeah, food and drink again. Have you got access to stuff? Can you get access to stuff? In the real world, the answer is probably no. I wouldn't be able to. How do I at least listen into communications? So I realise I've kind of just explained that, but yeah, so far as I'm concerned, in this case, I've got no mobile network, but I do have a car, and my car does have radio. Right, you're out. You're getting into those country roads now. Kind of like I said earlier, lights. I personally, someone please tell me if I'm wrong. As far as I'm concerned, there's a concern for me that my vehicle headlights, once I get out into the countryside and I get to where I kind of want to be a bit more covert, they're going to give me away. That's the way I look at this. So then I've got to think, right, well, frankly, how am I going to see where I'm going? Once I've got to my parking up point, and there is a small section of being on foot, again, if I'm going to wear a head torch, if I'm going to take a torch, how do I obscure what people are seeing about where I'm going? Okay, so the scenario continues. It's now 7 a.m. and broad daylight. But good news, we're at a bug out location. Shock horror, people. Someone else has chosen a nearby spot. Similar ideas to you, but they haven't noticed you yet. Now that actually for me was one of those, write down all your fears on the back of a fag packet and give it to someone type of scenario. You're not going to be alone. I know that's stating the obvious, but in the UK there just isn't much space. There's a lot of people possibly doing exactly what I'm doing now, or maybe even watching my video or someone else's video, and might be thinking, you know what, yeah, I'm doing that as well. And so far as I'm concerned, there's no real wildlife, but I do give consideration to something in a moment. There's no wildlife to worry about, but people, yeah, I definitely need to worry about people. The road network is gradually choking up. Vehicle movements from here on are going to be limited. All right, I'm out of the way anyway. Lots of people will soon be on foot. Now, I'm probably not wrong in assuming that if you can't move your car around, people are going to walk. And if you're walking, you're not going to want to walk the route the road takes you. You're almost going to want to beeline straight across to wherever. Yeah, all right, you're still in peacetime, strictly speaking. You can still be arrested for trespass and all the rest of it. But in all likelihood, I think by then, people are going to be less likely to worry about field boundaries and such. And I for one, perhaps, that might be my mindset. I will think, well, if I want to get from here to there, or I know that wherever my vehicle is to get back home, I've got to perhaps just cut through. You might inadvertently cut through some quieter, more secluded areas where my bug out location is, perhaps. But these could just be random people. Certainly not someone with intention of being out there. Someone who's out there by default of their situation. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Am I going off on a tangent? Am I thinking the wrong things? I don't know. I see it as a concern. So, you're at your bug out location. What do you do first? Do you do a little bit of localized recon? Do you set up your shelter, etc.? I've put that in because, yes, I know the area. Yes, I can get there, no problem. I don't know if anything's changed. I don't know if someone suddenly built a house just out of view. I also don't know if perhaps someone's regularly using that spot. I don't know if kids might be up there drunk the night before. Set up shelter. Once I commit and I set my shelter up, my tarp and all the rest of it, that's some of my resource, some of that stuff I've got, I'm permanently fixing in a location. Am I going to be capable of concealing that properly or doing it in such a way I can break it down and move it quickly? I don't know. The person that's nearby, they're in a similar scenario to you. What are your thoughts? Do I go and make contact? Do I just think, leave them alone, come away? Then I'm coming away, I'm moving perhaps into an area I know a little bit less. I don't know. I think that could be quite a problem, actually. Is the bug out location still suitable? Like I say, is there an alternative? Right, now this is taking a stress factor out. Great. I know where I'm going. That's my primary point. Where's my backup? And I'll be honest, I haven't got one. And on the live exercise, I'm not going to give myself a new one. I'm still going to have my original backup. Or would it be better that now we've done this tabletop exercise, I think about that? Yeah, that would be better. I'll get myself a second one. Okay. Do you stay put and just be as covert as possible while you process what's happening around you? Now, this is me being an armchair warrior. So far as I'm concerned, I would probably get to where I'm comfortable. Again, lower that stress level a bit. Just be as quiet as I can. Get myself kind of bunkered down. And then just kind of keep a lookout around me, try and understand what's going on. If, within a reasonably covert manner, I can listen in on the vehicle radio. Great. If I can't, maybe I can periodically go to and from, something like that. I don't know. I'd have to think of a way of doing that. I don't even own binoculars, so it's not even like, although my chosen bug out location is on a nice high ridge line, to observe what's going on in the town down below, which would be probably quite telling if things were going quite bad. I don't have that capability. Right. You have a degree of communication. Concerns. You have a degree of communication isolation at this choice of bug out location. Yeah, I am out of the way. I've got no mobile phone. At a push, I've got my vehicle radio. I haven't been in that sort of communication blackout situation since I was about 10, and it was early 90s. How do you find out what's happening in the area safely? I.e., am I going to have to move away? I don't know. So what is the nearby person's intent or mindset? Are they friend or foe? I don't know about you. I would just treat it as everyone is foe unless I can absolutely guarantee otherwise. Simple. Take a stress factor out. Done. Is the law still in full effect? I personally would take the view that yes, the law is in full effect unless I, for whatever reason, come by the knowledge that it is not. And I will act in a manner that would keep me above the letter of the law, and go from there. And that is true. I'm not just saying that just because I'm on camera. That is what I would do. General members of the public potentially now on foot and searching around with or without intent, like I was saying, they're just going to be on foot. You can't move your car. Now, I said I haven't got any wildlife to worry about except for one animal, the dog. Now, only because I grew up on a council estate in East London, dogs have a habit of finding people. They're the only animal I would be worried about. Now, could a dog give away your position? Are you in a position that perhaps a dog won't go to? Or how are you going to deal with dogs? Because let's face it, in the UK, pretty much that's it. Dogs are your only real issue, animals-wise, generally. Okay, right. Scenario continues. So it's now 7 o'clock at night. Well done, made it to the night. It's starting to get dark now. So still got no access to communication. Mobile still not working. I decide I'm just going to stay put. Stay where I am for the night, and I have intention to return home tomorrow. The weather is unseasonably clear, but subsequently is quite cold. Now, worryingly now, I've lost sight of the person that was at their little bug out nearby. Things to think about. Staying warm. Now, if I didn't grab my sleeping bag or I didn't grab enough warm clothes, what am I going to do? Now, my mindset is, well, frankly, go and get in the car. But then a car is obviously something people might look into or be quite an obvious target. Staying alert. Now, I've watched so many of these kind of, recruits going through training to become a Royal Marine or Navy SEAL, whatever. But yeah, I will bet you all the money in the world in this situation, I will not be sleeping that night, irrespective. And believe me, I've done it before. But yeah, just think about that. I might not have any coffee and I might not have any Red Bull on tap, but something I have got massive amounts of, well, that's adrenaline. How are you coping with thirst and hunger? right, I put that in on purpose because, I am a Westerner. I'm not particularly used to not eating throughout the day or not drinking throughout the day. If I perhaps didn't have enough supplies in the house, or perhaps only filled up one water bottle because I've frankly run out of time, I've got to go. Like I say, I don't have the training to kind of infiltrate into somewhere and go and get myself some water or something like that. So I'm now in this situation where I'm just going to stay put with what I've got. Now, I might not have much food left. Frankly, I might be worried about the noise the packaging will make. It's starting to get dark, things get quieter, noises travel further. Thirst as well. How are you coping with the communication isolation? Personally, I'd quite enjoy that. However, what I wouldn't enjoy is not knowing what's going on out in the wider world, because we are so used to it. It's so ingrained. Even in myself, um, I'd have to think of a way to train myself to deal with that. Um, and I'd never really given it any consideration before. I thought, yeah, turn my phone off here, whatever. But now, ironically, I need that communication, and I haven't got it. The choice has been taken away from me. Hi, okay. So, my apologies. That last piece probably cut a bit abruptly. This is actually now a week later. During the edit, I realised that I didn't capture all of the recording. Stopped halfway through. So it's the first time I've been able to come back to the bunker and continue with the recording. So, without further ado, I'll get back into it. I apologise if my tone and my format is a little bit different. After all, it's a week down the line. So, the scenario continues. So, we've made it to the morning. Fantastic. Disappointingly, we learnt, as is possibly the reality, that what we had just gone through was literally all for nothing, and actually, it was a bit of a non-event. However, it is now Friday after all, and as we put there, Saturday, the advice is given that you could see a little resurgence of civil disturbances, and that because of the way things were handled by the authorities, it's expected to be a little more serious. All right, so you're in that weird situation now. Sorry, let me just move you down a touch. Yeah, so you're in an odd situation now where you've just gone through all that, and now you're thinking, in a few hours' time, do I do it all again? Do I chance there being that same situation where it could all be for nothing? You put those doubts in your mind, all that prepping, all that planning, and you think, oh, really? Who knows? So how do you prepare for tomorrow? Will you change the plan, and what effects that might have? Okay, yeah, so for me, on a purely personal, subjective level, how will I prepare for tomorrow? I will be thinking, I haven't got much time. I will be doing my utmost, assuming everything is in, normal working order, to go and get supplies, go and right some of those little wrongs from the other day, know that my kit's in the car, put the few bits of extra things in that I didn't have, grab that warm clothing, get that food, get that water. Will you change the plan? Well, if I'm doing it, surely other people are thinking the same. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm unique. I doubt it. Will you change the plan? No. I think the best thing about the plan is to stick to it. Go through exactly the same motions again. Maybe get up earlier and go. Hey, maybe even it's the Friday night. Maybe I'll just head out now. Get what I need, go back out. It's Friday after all. What are you going to do about it? What effects might that have? Well, we're looking at it from the prospect of this going into the weekend. So, what effects might it have? Possibly minimal. I'm not changing the plan. If anything, I'm improving. However, obviously, others could be doing something now. There's going to be a lot more awareness. So that might have an effect where you kind of had that, not the element of surprise, is probably the wrong way to put it, but where you had the jump on people, you're now not going to. I think that could be interesting for right and wrong reasons. Well, that concludes the exercise, really. Debrief, and what did we learn? there's obviously, we've gone through quite a bit, and if you stayed this long, thank you so much for sticking with me. I appreciate a lot of this is going to be drivel. What did we learn? Plan. I don't think there's any two ways about it. Literally be prepared. The whole idea of being in the prepping community is that you are prepared. And as we've discussed, I've hit that situation where I'm not. So I definitely need to preach what I practice. Again, sorry, forgive me, I'm going to move the camera again. So when are we going to test the plan with live exercise? Good question. I'm working on a couple of ideas for this. Toying with the idea of asking someone who is in the industry, who I've done a lot of work with. We developed a tabletop, we developed a business continuity plan for one of my previous employers. I think he would be interesting, but he's a very busy man at the moment. On the flip side, I think it wouldn't hurt to get my father involved. I think my dad would be quite good for this. He's got some quite strong thoughts and opinions, and it'd be good to see where we clash or where we concur. So I think there's a couple of options here. So we shall see. I will let you know as soon as I know. I will let you know when that is going to happen. I thought that was quite good fun. In a boring, professional interest kind of a way. Please give me your thoughts. Give me your views. Be a critic. Praise me if you think that's worth it. Look, I'm not an expert in this, not by any means. Yes, I've done some work in it professionally for whatever companies I've worked in, but obviously the level of seriousness taken is quite different. Yeah, please let me know if it's something you've enjoyed, if it's something you want me to refine. There's so many different topics and subjects I'd love to cover doing this. Everything from a fire in your house to being burgled to there's one in particular I really want to do, where both my wife and I, we work a good considerable distance away from home. We have kids at home. It's if you're in a kind of a pretty serious situation, how do you deal with that? Yeah, so I think there's a lot that we can do with this. So yeah, I'd love to know. Any experts that are out there, please chip in, right my wrongs. If you made it through to the end of that somewhat epic video, thank you so much for watching as always. Please hit the like button, please subscribe. I know I've already just said it, but please give me all your thoughts, comments, criticisms, and if you want to see more, then of course I will produce more. Yeah, and really, until the next instalment, I will see you next time.